Anil Sharma was 32 years old, worked as a clerk at a local bank in Uttar Pradesh, and lived a life defined by total, unyielding routine: work, home, and spending the weekends with a few friends. That absolute predictability shattered the morning he opened his front door and found a decaying, yellowed newspaper sitting on his concrete step. He didn't have a subscription, and the paper looked like it had been sitting in a basement for decades. The physical state of the paper was odd, but the date on the masthead was the real anomaly. It was actually printed for tomorrow's date. Assuming it was a strange printing error, he brought it inside and read it over his morning tea. The front page detailed a violent fire in the local market that supposedly reduced 12 shops to ash. The next morning, on his commute to the bank, his route was blocked by a crowd. A massive inferno was tearing through the local market, consuming the exact block of 12 shops he had read about 24 hours earlier. The paper in his bag was no longer a printing error. It was an accurate blueprint of the morning, down to the number of shops destroyed. Anil wasn't just looking at a fire. He was looking at a physical impossibility he could no longer explain away. The newspaper kept coming. Every single morning, a new edition arrived, detailing political resignations, school gas leaks, and severe car crashes exactly one day before they actually occurred. Anil decided to test his own agency against the ink. He started placing highly specific trades on the stock market, and he went out of his way to warn people away from locations where the paper predicted accidents. Curious, a few individuals, but soon a chilling pattern emerged. He could alter minor details, a person's specific location, or a small financial shift, but the catastrophic events themselves always happened exactly as printed. This chart represents a fixed point in time. While different paths like A, B, or C can be taken, the gravity of the event forces every timeline to converge at a single unavoidable destination. Anil's interventions were merely creating alternate routes. He would push someone out of the way of a speeding car, only for them to fall into an open construction trench a block away. The timeline would violently correct itself to reach the same destructive conclusion. He realized that holding tomorrow's news offered zero actual power. Instead, it trapped him. He was forced to endure the psychological torture of watching a fixed script play out, utterly helpless to stop the main act. Paranoia took over. Anil needed to understand the mechanics of how this object was breaching his reality. He wired security cameras outside his house, angling them directly at the front door, and prepared to stay awake all night. He spent hours watching the monitor, but sheer exhaustion eventually caught up to him, and shortly after 3 in the morning, his eyes closed for just a few seconds. He jolted awake, seeing the paper already sitting on the stoop. He immediately scrubbed back the footage. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the camera feed glitched into dense white static. When it resolved 2 seconds later, the newspaper rested on the concrete. He opened his door and picked it up. This time, there was no market fire or political scandal on the front page. Staring back at him, right under a headline announcing a fatal road accident, was his own face. The article laid out the exact parameters of his death. According to the text, his car would collide with a truck tomorrow evening at precisely 9:17 p.m. Dying is a universal fear, but fatalism introduces a highly specific terror. It gives you an exact countdown clock to your last breath, while hiding the off switch. Anil executed a strategy of absolute inaction. He took the day off, boarded up his windows, locked every door, and powered down his mobile phone. If he didn't get in a car crash was mathematically impossible. The psychological weight of the ticking clock consumed him. Sitting in total isolation in his dim living room, he watched the hours slowly bleed into the late evening. 8 o'clock passed without a single sound. The silence stretched on, and a fragile sense of victory started to take hold. He was going to cheat the ink. Then, at 8:40 p.m., a sharp ringing shattered the quiet. He had turned off his mobile, but the neglected landline in his kitchen began to scream. He answered it to hear his younger sister weeping frantically on the other end. Their mother had just suffered a massive heart attack and was being rushed to the emergency room. In a fraction of a second, Anil's ironclad, logical resolve evaporated into sheer panic. The prophecy didn't need a physical force to drag Anil out of his house. It used his sister's voice and his mother's health to make him open the door and start the engine himself. Anil abandoned his sanctuary. He sprinted to his car, threw it into gear, and raced toward the hospital, pushing the engine to its limits on the dark roads. Halfway there, his eyes darted to the glowing digital clock on his dashboard. It read 9:12 p.m. The memory of the headline slammed back into his consciousness. With 5 minutes left on the prophecy's clock, he made a desperate, conscious calculation. If he slowed down right now, he would alter his trajectory and miss the predicted collision point entirely. He slammed on the brakes, dropping his speed to a crawl. As his car decelerated, a heavy commercial truck approached from the opposite lane. Right as it passed, the truck's front tire shredded. The massive vehicle lost all steering control and swerved violently across the median, perfectly aligning with Anil's creeping car at exactly 9:17 p.m. For months after the crash, Anil's house sat dark and boarded up. Eventually, the property was cleaned out and leased to a new tenant. And on their very first morning, they opened the front door to find a decaying, yellowed newspaper resting on the concrete. It carried tomorrow's date, just as it always did. But printed at the very bottom margin in small, faded type was a new line of text. He who reads the future ultimately becomes part of it. It leaves behind a chilling paradox. The timeline doesn't break when you try to escape your destined fate. The attempt to escape is the exact mechanism required to fulfill it.